Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA plus exclusive experiences, discounts, and tickets. Already a AAA member? Upgrade for free or join today at AAA.com/Commanders. Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. I have a story up now about, of course, Jayden Daniels and his return to practice. He has been medically cleared to return, and he was a full participant on Wednesday. That, of course, is a good sign. It's kind of what we thought would happen, that this would be the target week, and I talked about that last week, that when he wouldn't play, like that this was the target week. So he's back in practice. All looks good. I will talk about him in a minute. So don't forget, the John Keim Report is presented by AAA. So just wanted to get into a couple things, and this is just the midweek report, and going to get into injuries. And then I do have an interview at the end with Jacory Croskey-Merritt. And I wanted to talk to him about a few things, but I'll get into that in a couple minutes. So before we get there, let's go over some injury updates because there's a lot. Listen, on Wednesdays, you get a lot of veterans who aren't going to practice. Laramie Tunsil, Zach Ertz, guys like that, Wagner, they're just not, they're going to have their veteran rest days. It's something, this is Dan Quinn's decision. And I'll give you the guys who rested today, Dorrance Armstrong was out with an illness, Nick Bellore, more or less rest, DNP, Noah Brown, DNP, but that's still, he's coming back. He was on a side field today working out with the athletic trainers as well as with Jonathan Jones. So a good sign to see Noah Brown out there. At least did not see Terry McLaurin on the field, so he was another DNP. This week was always going to be kind of questionable for him at best. So that's where we're at. We haven't seen him yet. So until you see him even working on side field, kind of hard to say what he's going to do. Deebo Samuel, DNP. He had a heel injury. Mikey Samerstill, DNP with a knee. Tunsil rest, Ertz rest, Von Miller rest. So, there you go. So John Bates was back out there in full. That, of course, was a really good sign for the team. And then Sam Cosmi, of course, returned to practice. They opened that 21-day window to see, about when to activate him off the PUP list. All signs have always looked good for him as far as his return being earlier on the end of that 9 to 12 month range than on the later range, because 9 months, folks, is mid-October. And I remember talking to somebody in June, and I said something about man, if he got back in, about then, you figure 9 months, and they kind of shook their head they think it was going to be earlier. So kind of both right, because, I guess they might get it by a week, because I don't know when he's going to come back. Typically, they're going to, especially coming off an ACL, you haven't worked in pads until today. So how much time are they going to give him to get ready back and get back in football shape? I don't know. So certainly this week, not going to happen, but would it be next week or would it be the following week? I guess that would be at Dallas. So that would be about mid-October, and that's really on the early end of where it is, but they have felt good all along about Cosmi's return, or his recovery, as Dan Quinn would always say, hitting the check, hitting all the markers. But it was also they have been optimistic for months about when he would get back. So that's a good thing to see for them. But he was out there, and again, he's looked good when you watch him. But the whole thing with the ACL is also the cutting and being able to bounce on the side, not just going straight ahead. Now, of course, for an offensive lineman, you're not going to be doing that quite as much, but there is still a level of trust that you have to have in it, because you are getting the pileups and all that. You get around there, you want to make sure that you can plant and go. You still have to go laterally, but it's not quite like with a receiver or a running back for sure. And even so going back to Bates, Brown, McLaurin, Dan Quinn, all he'll say is that all are trending in the right direction. Now, I will say, of all the coaches I've covered, when it comes to injuries, you'll get less out of Dan Quinn than anybody I've ever covered. And that's their prerogative. This is not a complaint. It's just a statement. So, nobody has to get bent out of shape by me saying that, because it's just accurate. It just is. And so even when Joe Gibbs was here, he had, again, I would tell you, Bubba Tyer. Bubba Tyer was a trainer, and he would give us updates after every practice. and about like, well, this guy's got a knee. It's probably about 4 to 6 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks here, blah, blah. But this is the way they chose. So they are not inclined to give out a whole lot. So with McLaurin, like in the past, say, yeah, probably if they say week to week, here it's generally going to mean you're probably going to miss that game and maybe be questionable for the second week. So you have to start reading between the lines with this. And so when Quinn says they're all trending in the right direction, well, what does that mean? Like, if you're expecting a guy to be back this week and that's what he's trending, that's good. If you're expecting him back in another week and a half, but they're trending that way, well, that's trending the right direction for them too. It doesn't mean it's all going to be this week. It just means they're trending in the right direction. So, we just, like I said, we don't get a lot of the injury updates that for us helps certainly, but of course, their first priority is not giving the information to the media. And I remember like when Jay Gruden was here, he would get annoyed at how much he had to give the media. He would kind of say, why should I have to do this? Other coaches don't have to do this. Well, some of them did, but he always like, well, you don't have to say. So to Dan Quinn's credit and to Adam Peterson, I do think some of this comes from him as well. He's got that old New England Patriots background. That's where he started. And there are a lot of stuff that he does that is part of that you can trace back to there, which is fine. Like that's fine. But Quinn is like he's really good at staying on message and not divulging too much information. So as good as I've seen, and as less forthcoming as I've seen. So again, not a complaint. It just is what it is. But I'm just trying to tell you, when they say all are trending in the right direction, you have to say, well, what does that really mean in this situation? And go from there. During the season, my life gets chaotic, whether at home or on the road. I don't want a big breakfast, but I want to eat healthy, especially on the road. So I grab my Huel Black Edition to kickstart my day, and I'm ready to go. My favorite flavor is chocolate. Each meal has 40 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals. There's no added sugar, it's gluten-free, and for less than $3 per meal, it's ready in 60 seconds. And now Huel just dropped a first-of-its-kind Super Greens drink in a can. It's called the Huel Daily Greens Ready to Drink. It was developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians and contains 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, yet there's only 25 calories. It also has 4 grams of fiber and only 1 gram of sugar. If you're busy, focused on fitness, Huel can be a big help. Huel makes healthy eating simple. Try both today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with my exclusive code Keim15 at huel.com/Keim15. Use my code and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Commanders MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive team events and experiences, along with 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive. The Commanders are going to fly out to California a day early. They're going to go out Thursday. I'm going to be flying out Thursday as well. So by the way, for you gold members, I just think it's going to be too hard to do a Zoom this week because I don't know when I can do it. I'm going to be on a plane. I'm going to be a plane on Thursday night, and then Friday night they practice at 1:20 Pacific time. So that's a later practice than they would have. I mean, in Washington, they would practice at 11 a.m. on a Friday. It's a fast Friday. So, but there, you're doing it, you're getting acclimated. Guess what time kickoff is? It's 1:20 on Sunday Pacific time. So that's what they're doing here. So it's not going to be a long practice. They're going to practice at the LA Coliseum. Kind of cool. I've been there one time when they played the Rams there a few years ago. It's a cool stadium. So it's going to be fun to just experience that for sure. But the other thing is too, going out early, and some of it is like they wanted to go out all week to California. Like if they had their druthers, I don't know that they're going overseas, but instead they would have played like Kansas City or Minnesota and then follow it with a road game at LA and go out to LA a week early, right after the game. Exactly like what they did after playing Cincinnati and then going out to Arizona. That was like one of the things they requested from the league is to be able to get that week or to be able to do something like that so they could go out there for the week. Well, then you get the Madrid game, so you're going to spend all week there. And part of that, it goes back to Arizona. Like one of the things Quinn would always talk about when he talked about last year's teams were the joint practices on the road, giving them a chance to bond a little bit more. And then that week early in the season in Arizona and how much that mattered to them, to the team building prospect. By the time you get to Madrid, well, you've kind of already built a lot of things. Yeah, it can help, and maybe it can help solidify something down the stretch. But last year, they felt like that was a big deal. And I think that's one of the reasons why they would like to have done that again earlier, like right around now in LA. Just didn't work out. They do go out early, but I do think some of that is just acclimating to Pacific time, but some of that is just like get another day in where they're all together away from, just all in their same area. So I did ask, like today, we get to talk to Dan Quinn today. Tomorrow on Thursday, we could talk to Joe Witt and Cliff Kingsbury. And I know there's a lot of things that people want to know about. The problem is, and so one of the things that I've talked about this before, we get two questions in a press conference. So sometimes it's hard to get to all the answers that you want. Like if I could talk to Joe Witt, Dan Quinn for 15 minutes, just me, then I could get a lot more in depth about what is really going on. I can ask my questions, but there's a bunch of other reporters in the room who all have different stories that maybe they're working on. We're not all huddled around trying to figure out what do we got to ask Dan Quinn? We got to get this. That's because everybody's got a different job to do, and not everything is the same. So, but anyways, I did ask him about like Frankie Louvu and the blitzing because he hasn't blitzed as much the last two games. Now, some of that could, and they haven't played as they played more zone the last two games. That's not, I don't think that's a coincidence. But I'm, asking about that, and I don't think I don't know that he like I had the numbers. I don't know that he had. And sometimes you just, I don't know. It's game specific. And I talked about this the other day. Game specific. I also thought Louisville was terrific against the run the other day and was good last week as well. So very active. They just need to get him more active in that pass game to create big plays. And maybe this is a week where you're able to do that, because I will say this, and I'll talk about this in my 5 thoughts on for later in the week. But the Chargers have had some problems with stunts up front, and you get some stunts, and then a blitz coming up the middle through the A gap with him, get him against a running back, you're good to go. Anyway, I did also ask him about Marshawn Lattimore. Does he feel like teams are targeting him, and how would he assess his play? And I think, like to date, I think they feel okay about it. And he said that he does not think it's the case that he's been targeted. And I will say this: the entire secondary and the entire back seven has been targeted. Like you can pick on him, you can pick on this, you can, Quan Martin has had some issues. The linebackers aren't as good in coverage. Mikey Sarah's still kind of been up and down. So it's been more than just that. So I know fans are fixated on Lattimore, but it's to me the big problem is it's not just one guy. And yes, you can pick on that. You can question the trade. Go ahead. I'm not going to debate or dispute that one. But bottom line is they don't feel like he's been targeted the way, and at least publicly, that's what they're going to say, right? And like I said, others make mistakes. Even on that double move the other day where he gets beat by Drake London, Trey Amos is getting beat on the other side on the exact same move. So that was to me, when you see that both corners are playing for tendencies for what Atlanta has done. They were not a deep ball throwing team, or not at least a successful deep ball throwing team before that point. In fact, I think Penix was like 1 for 8 on what was considered go balls before that game. So it wasn't like they were showing a lot of that and a lot of that successfully. We do know he can make that pass. He made it in college. He's pretty good. So anyways, but we did ask that. And so we'll get Joe Witt tomorrow, ask him a few more things. You may not like the answers because I don't know that they're going to say what everybody wants to hear, because I don't know what everybody wants to hear that's going to make you feel good. And so, there we go. But anyways, all these topics are on the table, and we know, like with Witt, you can get into a little bit more, because with Quinn, you got to ask like Jayden, and a lot of stuff with Jayden today, a lot of stuff with injuries, Sam Cosmi, big picture stuff. With Witt, it's going to be obviously all about this, because that's what he's in charge here to do. So anyways, get more on that on Thursday, and I'll be talking about some of that in my 5 thoughts for this weekend. Now, let's get to Jayden Daniels, because he's the big story. He's coming back, and that's welcome sight for Washington. And I know that Marcus Mariota did a nice job. The offense hung up, what was it, 61 points in 2 games. And they had the 7 on the punt return. So they put 61 points in the 2 games. That's pretty damn good. That should have been good enough for a 2-0 stretch right there. And you can credit, there's a lot of things to credit. But I will say, when Jayden Daniels is on this roster and on the field, they are a different team. And, that's why it's good for him to come back. Obviously, he's pretty good. And, but anyways, been medically cleared. He was wearing the brace in practice today. He looked better than he did last week. And I even asked him, like, when did you feel like like yourself, right? Because that's what they want to see. When does he look like himself? Well, he said he felt like himself. He goes, I could have played 2 weeks ago. Now, clearly they disagreed. I don't doubt that he would have tried had they let him. I don't doubt at all. That's just who he is. Like, you know, that's what he would have done. But he said they felt he was back to himself this weekend. So that's where it's at. But he was wearing the brace in practice, so he's moving better. Like when we watched him last week running through some bags, like he was only going about half speed. And you could tell, right? And you could tell it was still like the brace was kind of annoying him. Like it wasn't necessarily like that he wasn't going full go, but you could tell like when he would throw sometimes, like he would have to lift up his leg because it's almost like he had to adjust the brace with your leg. He looked a lot more comfortable with it this week, and I know it's been a pain in the butt for him, well, pain in the knee, whatever you want to say, but it's been a pain for him to wear them. He did say he was asked, of course, would he have to wear it in the game? He's like, his druthers would be not to, but if that's what it takes to play, then that's what he's going to do. So if he has to, he can play with it, he can run with it. It's not like it's, we're not talking about like, watching some kid with polio back in the 1950s with the braces. Like we're talking about an NFL guy who can run still with the brace. So it is okay for him to be able to do that. But the good thing is he's back up at practice. Jacory Croskey, Merritt was talking about how, just everybody's in smiles because you see him in the huddle. The other thing I think that jumps out here too, and I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it again, is the trust. And I think one of the things that Dan Quinn said that made this situation work, because you got a guy who's highly competitive. I've seen this before with quarterbacks here, and you know what I mean? Like highly competitive quarterback wants to play. The coach it's then up to the coach. Well, Quinn leaves it up to the medical staff. The medical staff wouldn't clear him until now. But there's a trust that's been built up. And like even Quinn's like, if this happens last year, is there the same level of trust? But they've been through so much together, been through so much situations where what this guy says is he's looking out for me. You can trust what this guy says here. And I think that's what's going on in this situation, is that Quinn trusts Daniels, but Daniels trusts Quinn. And, one of the things that he talked about too was kind of that, like, they've been really good to him, so he wanted to be good for them. In other words, like he's not going to, of course he wants to play, like, again, but he's not going to go out there and cause any issues because he didn't play. And I think the other thing is too, Jayden's a pretty secure guy. Like he is secure with who he is. And I think this matters as well. And I say that because you could watch Mariota go in there and do really well. And it's the way he processes it, it's clearly not a threat to him. It would have been to some others. Trust me, it would have been to some others, but it's not to him. Now, I think part of that is because they all accept their role. Like Mariota knows what he's here for. Like he's not here to try and win the starting job. He's here to be a good backup and mentor to Jayden Daniels. That's what he does. But but again, Daniels is very secure that I think he's happy to see Mariota get that level of attention after the Raiders game, and that he did well. In fact, the funny thing is, I think last week I told you that in Sam Hartman's locker was Mariota's Oregon jersey. Today it was at Jayden Daniels' locker. It's the green number 8 from Mariota. So like there's a good bond in that room, but I think that matters too. And I think it helped. I don't know that he would have tried to rush back sooner just to prevent Mariota from getting snaps. It still was a medical decision, but I think it allows the whole situation to be a very good one because of how they all handled it. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Commanders MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive team events and experiences, along with 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive. So the last thing I want to talk about is Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Bill, right? And so, I talked to Bill today, and there was a group session that I talked to him for a few minutes afterwards. It's a 3-minute interview, so just bear with me on it. Talked about pass pro, where he feels he's at with it, what are the challenges for him. He feels really good about it too. And so he's growing there. Like, it's not like he's bad in this area. He's not. It's just that there's a lot to process with it. Once you're able to get it down, it shouldn't be a big deal. And I asked him about his role and like, do you have to build up to maybe some more carries, et cetera? And he's pretty happy with it. But then I also asked him about his favorite run the other day because he had a couple nice runs. So just anyway, Bill's always fun to talk to. And that's one of the fun things about this sport in covering it is you get a guy who's a late round pick and he had this and had that. He's overcome this. He had, couldn't play last year. And just sometimes the joy that they express themselves and just you can see it on their face. Like when he talks to you, he smiles a lot. And I think he does because I think he just likes football. And not that others, clearly a lot of others do too, right? But I just think he likes playing. I think he enjoys the situation. He doesn't seek the spotlight, but I think he enjoys everything about it, about this situation, like, and that he's playing and that he just likes playing the game he loves. And that he's like, sometimes it's almost like, I can't believe all these people are talking to me. A year, he had played one game at a big school last year in Arizona. Before that, it's a bunch of small schools. I would probably guarantee he probably didn't have this many media around talking to him. And now here it is. And it's like, it's fun, but you can tell he's having fun. And that's partly what makes him such a fun story is the way I think that he not just embraces it, but just how there's a humility to it. But I just think he enjoys it. So anyways, give it a listen. It's 3 minutes. Then we'll wrap it up. And here you go. Here's my conversation with Bill.
Basically, it's just winning your one-on-one, like not letting the linebacker beat you. I mean, not going to be 100%. I mean, I lose 2 pass pro reps, and now all of a sudden, that's the biggest thing people point out, which I get. I mean, that's what people gonna do. But I mean, I love pass blocking. I mean, I don't think it's an issue for me. So I mean,
well, what's it like if we're going from college to the NFL? What's the challenge in the NFL with? Because it's not just like taking on a guy. You get it. What is the challenge for it? Not besides just like, is it determining who's coming? Like, is
definitely not. I mean, if you don't know who's coming, that means you don't know your assignment. I mean, and like you gotta know who you're blocking every play. So I mean, I don't think it's like just knowing who's coming because it's a read on every play. It's
you feel good with that.
Yeah, like that's just come from studying. That's easy. But it's just like winning your one-on-one. Like I said, like you just can't let a linebacker beat you.
And then going out on pass routes, like there's always an adjustment with that too. So what are some of the adjustments with that? Obviously, we know you can catch the ball. So what's the adjustment that?
Just being in the right spot, just making sure I'm in the right spot, and just just being in the right spot, it can affect a lot of things like with spaces of other routes and like getting other people open. So I mean, it's just the small stuff that you got to be like 100% on.
The last thing, and like, a lot of fans obviously want to see you carry the ball a lot more. They want you to get 15, 20 carries. Do you have to build up to that?
I mean, I wouldn't say I have to build up to it. It just, I mean, I really don't listen to outsiders. I'm doing what the team and coaches want me to do, and like I trust in their plan. And whenever my time comes, I mean, it's gonna be great, and that's all I can do right now. And I'm happy. Like I'm not frustrated with me getting 7 carries. I know that it'll be good, and they got a plan.
Was there a run that you really liked the other day? Like you had the one where you're pressing the hole, linebackers got to freeze, getting the blocks over, you're cutting back, getting 8 yards. Like, is there a run that you kind of stood out? It's like, I really like that run because I showed this.
I mean, I think I like the best run I had this Sunday was like 16 yards, but I'm kind of mad at it because I think I could have did something better on the safety. I mean, it's a good run, but I like to make those runs great.
What did you like about it?
I mean, I like that I was patient and got skinny through the hole.
That's when the 2 guys almost got you, right? Yeah.
I like that I got skinny. I mean, that's good, but I know I can make a move on that safety to be great, so small stuff like that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But that's why I said that you got such a violent running style that I wonder if it takes a minute to like build up that,
I've been doing this my whole life, so I mean, it's kind of like just running. Like I don't even know some of the stuff I be doing. Like it's just natural instincts. Like just been doing it my whole life. So
cool. That's it for this episode. I appreciate Bill chatting me for a few extra minutes. He had talked for several minutes with a group of reporters and was nice enough to just spend a few extra minutes with me doing this. So appreciate that. Appreciate you listening. I'll be back on, it'll be late Friday night, but you can tune in Saturday morning with my 5 thoughts on the Commanders. I'm going to talk about Benson and his blocking. Trey Amos, I talked to him today, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that and a bunch and several other talks. Get into topics, get into the Chargers as well. A little bit on the Chargers, a lot on the Commanders. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next time.